Hi Martin, apologies for not getting back to you earlier on this one. It kind of slipped my attention. I'm going to show you two ways to handle this file. Okay, so I've taken a sample of your dodgy CSV file, which looks like this, and the easiest way of all to deal with it, I think, is to handle it as Excel. So I just opened it in an Excel file and saved it as Excel. So now I just have the Excel file, which looks like this. It's full of all this kind of stuff that you're trying to get rid of. So what we're going to do, so if I go to Studio, you go to your File, Options, go to your File Type section and go down and have a look at Microsoft Excel. You need to make sure that the Excel you do this to is the one that's going to be used in your project, and that's going to be the one that is at the top of the list, the highest one up, or the one that is activated. So that's deactivated and that's deactivated and that's deactivated. The one that will get used is this one, but obviously mine are all ticked, so I'm going to use this one here. When you've established that, open it up on the left hand side, go down to the embedded content. Now there's a section down here called Preview File. So if you click on Browse to where your file is, the Excel file, and open it up. When you just click on Preview, it gives you a chance to have a look at it without having to make the changes to the file type, then open the file in Studio, creating a project to see if it was what you wanted or not. So this opens the file up, and this is what it's going to look like, which is full of all this stuff here that you're trying to get rid of. So all you need to do, this is the default settings look. If I click on Reset to Defaults, this is what you get. This rule down here is a default rule. Ooh, where are we? I can't pick up the. Why can't I pick that up? Okay, I can't see the rule. Oh, probably because I need to enable it. If I enable the embedded content pressing, there we go, now I can see it. This rule that's down here is a default rule that picks up just about everything but turns it to placeholders. So now that that's enabled, and all I did was tick that box, when I preview and look at the file this time round, you can see that it's picked everything up. This is probably by far the easiest way for you to tackle it, because it's just going to pick up everything, convert it to a placeholder, and allow you to just get on with the file really quickly. If I was you, I think that's the approach that I would take. If you want to take something else and then try and get a bit smarter, you can do. So you would just remove that rule, so remove that, and you can create your own rule. So we go back here and look at this file. In fact, I'll open it on, let me open this one, because then we can, in fact no, let me just preview it again, probably the easiest way. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit there. I preview it, let's have a look at what we're trying to take out. So if we go down and look at it, you've got things like strong, for example, so you could do them all independently. So copy that, create add. Strong is a tag pair because there's an opening tag and a closing tag. Paste it in there. Get rid of the / because that's a closing tag. You can even make it, if you want to, set the formatting and activate the bold so it looks bold when you preview it. Say OK. There's your first rule. When you preview it, it should open up and all the stuff is going to be bold. There we go. So now it's tagged up everything that has got a bold tag. There's lots of them, and it's even made them bold, so you get a bit of a WYSIWYG effect. And you can go through adding them all. You've got all these things with the H headings. You can have separate ones, H1, H2, H3, H4, or you could do a catch-all. So to do a catch-all, you would do a tag pair H \D plus, for example, something like that. And for the closing pair, I've forgotten which way around the tag goes, / always forget those. H \D plus, something like that. Translatable. You could change the formatting again if you wanted to. If you did different ones, you might want to do that. You might want to make, because it's a heading, you might want to make the size a bit bigger, so you could say make the size 12. And you could even change the color and make it blue. You can do whatever you want with this. I'll say OK. OK. And then when you preview this one, hopefully when I scroll down we can find some of those. There we go. So you find some of these ones. The tags have gone actually, and that's because they were at the beginning and the end of the segment. So the studio said, okay, the tags are at the beginning and the end, I don't need them, and it's just removed them out of the way. There's one where the tags have been remained in there because there's more text afterwards, so you get the idea. And you can go through and you can tag up your entire file one at a time until you've tagged everything. It can be a bit tricky doing it this way for some things. So for example, where you've got something like this, the A reference, it's very easy to pick up everything in the A. You can create a tag for that, it's easy enough to do. But if you wanted to also pick up this, then it becomes really tricky, because to write a regular expression to extract just this and then all of this can be a little tricky unless it's consistent right the way through the file, and there's no guarantee it's going to be. So that gets a little bit messy then, but you can do it. That's how you do it one way anyway, using the Excel file type. That's one thing to do, but if I was you, I would just use the defaults, because the defaults are going to, oops, I forgot to check the enabled structure, enabled embedded content processing, sorry. If you use the defaults, they're going to do it automatically, and it's even going to help you handle the attributes like this. So if I was you, I would go for that, because it's one click. There are other ways of tackling these files. I'm going to show you another way, seeing as I'm preparing this video. Let's take, for example, this CSV file. Okay, when you get something like this, it's a right mess, but there's a lot of HTML code in there. So sometimes you can do a little bit of a hack. If I create a new file type, and I'll just save this, and I'm going to call it, I'll call this file type, I want to put it in this folder. Hang on, let's put it here so we don't lose it. I'll call it MC for Martin Cap.xml, and I'm going to create an XML file. So for this, I'm going to use a little shortcut I have just for getting things started like this. So there's the beginnings of an XML file. It's the beginnings of an XML file that can use something called CDATA. Now, CDATA allows developers to include content inside an XML file that you wouldn't normally include, because most of it's illegal, and it's very difficult to handle. But if you put it inside a CDATA section, you can dump whatever you want in there. Often it's the worst practice in the world, and there are many people in the community who'll tell you this is a really bad idea, but I'm going to show you anyway because I find it quite interesting. So I can go over to here now, copy just all of that content, and then I can just dump it into that CDATA section down there. Honestly, I think this is what some people do sometimes, things like this. It's a bit crazy really. Okay, and save it. So now I've got an XML file with all of that data in it like that. What I can do now is I can go back to Studio, go to File, Options. Let's go up to the file types, and we're going to create a custom XML file with embedded content. I'm going to call it MC. I normally like to change the file type identifier. It's an XML file, so we'll leave that. I'm going to base the settings on that little example I just created, mc.xml, because that will bring the rules in. Here's my rules. I'm going to remove the root element because I don't want it. I'm going to edit that and make it translatable. I probably don't need to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's sort of force of habit, and it kind of forces me to make sure that I don't pull in anything other than I actually want. Make that not translatable. That rule just means pick up anything and make it non-translatable and put it at the bottom. So when the file is passed, it passes from the bottom up. It'll pass the first one and say don't translate anything you come across, and then it'll come to the second rule and say that actually you can pass this one, MC. So it's going to pass the MC, and the MC element is this one here, and the MC element contains the CDATA. So I say OK, next, and finish. So that's my file type. So now I have a file type that can pick those up, and if I browse here and I pick up the MC and open it and preview it, you'll see it's going to open it all up. It's a fairly big file for XML. Well, I shouldn't have used such a big example, should I? Should have cut it down to size a little bit. But I wanted to show you what will happen. Now I wish I hadn't done it. I might cancel that if it's not any quicker. I'm pretty sure it shouldn't take that long. I reckon it just doesn't like all of that. It might actually error because it's handling all of that. I'm probably finding a problem with it. because I haven't told it there's a CDATA section in there. So hang on a second. Oh, I really wish I hadn't done that. I don't want to kill Studio now. I should cancel a bit quicker instead of still going on. Okay, I'm going to kill it. I don't know how long it's going to go on for, but it's driving me nuts. Studio, in task. Oh, look at that. Oh, there we go. Couldn't even kill it. So let's not do that. Let's just go straight ahead and apply the embedded content rule, and I'll show you what I wanted to do. The joys of playing with file types. And I'm not recording this with a tool that allows me to edit the video, so you're seeing it exactly as I'm doing it. Hang on. Let's get this open. Oh dear. Sometimes you need a lot of patience with this stuff. So, go back to File, Options. Is my file type still there? No, I've lost my file type as well. Okay, let's do it all again. So, File Types, New, Embedded Content, OK. MC, XML. Pick up the MC file. Get rid of the root element. Change that to always translatable. Add a rule. An XPath forward slash star. Not translatable. Drop it down the bottom. Go down to my, or click on finish that first, next. Finish. Open up the file. Go down to the embedded content. Enable the process embedded content using the following process and pick HTML, because the content of that file was mostly HTML, and do it with any CDATA sections. So now if I process the file, hopefully it'll be a bit quicker than it was last time, and preview it. Yes, so there we go. Okay, so then it's going to go through there, and actually it's not too bad. There's a couple of things that are a bit bad, but the interesting thing is, the good thing is, you haven't got placeholders. It's automatically picked up the opening and closing tags using the HTML rules. So that might be more interesting for you. They're all strong by the looks of it. Is there anything else in there? Maybe it's moved everything out. But it's not done a too bad job at it. So sometimes you can get away with a little trick like that. Just create a little Excel file as a wrapper around the horrible file that you've actually been given. There are some funny things that are a bit awkward to deal with, probably things like this. So the content inside the image tag has not been extracted properly. I don't know why, but I guess for that particular segment you could just copy source to target. You haven't got to translate any of it anyway, so it's not too much of a big hassle. And actually you could handle that using the display filter. So I'll show you how to do that just quickly. If I go and actually pick the file this time, let's pick the MC file, open it up in Studio properly. You can see now why that little preview idea is pretty cool, because it saves you having to do what I'm doing here now. It takes a little while. So there's the file, open up in Studio. So if I wanted to take out this or look at this sort of stuff, actually you probably want to travel part of that. So things like that, you would just have to copy source to target, and then just translate the bit you wanted to travel. So it would be welcome to, I guess, to that. Make sure you get that correct. But that other stuff, which is like this for example, if you wanted to get that in the middle, I guess what you could do is you could filter for it really. So I suppose if you look at the filter, just search for anything with www in it, because it looks like that probably has it. You don't even need an expression for that. That's going to pull all the contents, all the segments that contain this sort of nonsense, and then you could handle them. There wasn't that many actually, so it's not a bad solution. You could probably copy source to target for all of that stuff, and then just work around it for those segments. So copy source to target, do what you wanted to do with them, lock them, and then clear the filter, go to the filter attributes, go to the segment locking, just show unlocked, and apply the filter. And then you just got all the unlocked. There's a couple of other dodgy ones in there, things like that. But on the whole, that's pretty good. So maybe that's another way you could tackle it. So there's two ways. One, using the Excel file, which I reckon is probably the solution you should really use. And the second is this crazy XML workaround, which I'm sure I'll take a bit of flack from when Everson sees it. But I've got broad shoulders. So you can have a play with that. Maybe it'd be a bit of fun. And if nothing else, maybe that's given you a bit of an insight into how to play around with the file types, create the file types, to try and solve some of the problems you come across from time to time.